The Philippines occupies one of the most strategically exposed positions in Southeast Asia. As an archipelagic state sitting at the front line of the West Philippine Sea, it faces persistent maritime pressure while lacking the resources to compete symmetrically with larger naval powers. For decades, Philippine defense policy relied heavily on diplomacy, international law, and alliance assurances, particularly from the United States. Yet recent years have underscored a hard reality. Deterrence without credible military capability remains fragile. In this context, the acquisition of the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile marks a decisive shift from symbolic defense to practical, territory-focused deterrence. Geography defines Philippine vulnerability. Its long coastlines, dispersed islands, and proximity to contested maritime features make it difficult to defend through traditional naval dominance. Maintaining large surface fleets or high-end air superiority assets would impose financial burdens beyond sustainable limits. This structural constraint has forced Philippine planners to reconsider how deterrence can be achieved without mirroring the force structure of major powers. Coastal defense, rather than blue water competition, emerges as a rational answer. BrahMos fits squarely into this strategic logic. BrahMos is not simply another weapon system added to the inventory. It represents a capability that alters adversary calculations. As a supersonic cruise missile with high speed, precision, and sea-skimming flight profile, it is designed to threaten high-value maritime targets operating near Philippine waters. Its mobile, land-based configuration allows deployment without extensive fixed infrastructure, reducing vulnerability and increasing survivability. For a country with limited air and naval assets, this matters profoundly. It allows deterrence to be generated from the shore, leveraging geography rather than fighting against it. Before the introduction of BrahMos, Philippine deterrence rested largely on political signaling. Patrols, diplomatic protests, and alliance statements formed the backbone of responses to maritime incidents. While these tools remain important, they did not fundamentally change the balance of risk in the eyes of potential adversaries. BrahMos introduces a different dynamic. It does not aim to dominate the battle space, but it raises the cost of operating close to Philippine shores. Even a small number of such systems can complicate planning for any force that previously operated with near impunity. This shift is crucial because deterrence is ultimately psychological. It is not about winning a war, but about preventing one. By fielding a credible anti-access capability, the Philippines signals that escalation would carry tangible consequences. This does not imply an offensive posture. On the contrary, BrahMos reinforces a defensive narrative centered on territorial protection. It is a tool of denial, not conquest. That distinction resonates strongly with domestic audiences and aligns with constitutional and political sensitivities regarding military use. Public perception plays a critical role in defense sustainability. In the Philippines, reactions to military modernization often include concerns about cost, corruption, and opportunity trade-offs with social spending. Large-ticket items such as advanced fighter jets or major warships tend to attract skepticism due to their expense and long-term maintenance requirements. BrahMos occupies a different space in public discourse. Its cost-effectiveness is easier to explain. It delivers a clear defensive function tied directly to widely recognized security challenges. As a result, it has generated comparatively broad acceptance across political and social lines. This acceptance is reinforced by the strategic partnership behind the system. Cooperation with India carries fewer historical sensitivities than some other defense relationships and is widely viewed as pragmatic rather than ideological. For many Filipinos, the BrahMos deal symbolizes diversification rather than dependency. It demonstrates that Manila is expanding its strategic options, engaging multiple partners, and avoiding over-reliance on any single supplier or ally. In a region defined by great power competition, this perception of autonomy has significant domestic appeal. the signal sent to allies is equally important. For the United States, the deployment of BrahMos indicates that the Philippines is willing to invest in its own deterrence rather than outsourcing security entirely. This strengthens alliance credibility by showing burden sharing and strategic seriousness. For regional partners, it offers a model of how a middle power can enhance defense posture without triggering destabilizing arms races. The emphasis is on selective capability, not comprehensive militarization. At the same time, it is essential to recognize the limits of a BrahMos-centered approach. Missiles do not operate in isolation. Their effectiveness depends on supporting systems such as surveillance, targeting, command and control, and logistics. Without reliable intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, even the most capable missile loses much of its value. Protecting mobile launchers from detection and neutralization is another challenge that requires careful planning and integration across services. BrahMos strengthens deterrence, but it does not eliminate vulnerability. There is also the broader question of escalation management. Introducing new capabilities can alter strategic interactions in unpredictable ways. While BrahMos is defensive in intent, adversaries may respond by adjusting their own force posture, surveillance patterns, or rules of engagement. The Philippines must therefore pair military modernization with disciplined strategic communication, emphasizing defensive doctrine and restraint. Deterrence works best when it is credible but clearly bounded. Looking ahead, BrahMos should be understood as a foundation rather than a final destination. Within the framework of the Horizon 3 modernization program, it can anchor a layered defense concept that includes coastal radar, maritime patrol assets, and limited air and naval capabilities. Over time, this integrated approach could provide the Philippines with a resilient, affordable deterrence architecture extending into the early 2030s. Such a structure would not seek dominance, but stability. Ultimately, the significance of BrahMos lies less in its technical specifications than in what it reveals about Philippine strategic thinking. It reflects a move toward realism, acknowledging constraints while exploiting strengths. It prioritizes deterrence over prestige and practicality over symbolism. In an era of intensifying competition in the Indo-Pacific, this approach offers a measured path forward. For the Philippines, security will never come from matching larger powers weapon for weapon. It will come from making aggression costly, uncertain, and unattractive. BrahMos contributes to that goal by reshaping the strategic calculus in the West Philippine Sea. More importantly, it demonstrates that even under tight constraints, thoughtful choices can yield meaningful strategic leverage.